Welcome to the Supplement Engineer Podcast. My name is Robert Schnetsky. Today I'm fortunate enough to have Daniel Valdez, owner, operator, and CEO of ATP Nutrition. We're going to talk about how he started the brand, his history in the industry, and where he sees the industry going from here. So welcome, Daniel. Thanks for joining.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
So let's go back. Let's start with the origin story. Trace, for the people that aren't familiar with you and with the brand, trace how you got into the supplement industry and where you've been, what you've done so far.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, I hope you guys have a couple hours because it's going to take a while. No, I'm just kidding. But, I started out with supplements. I was younger. I was like 17, 18 years old and I was tiny, right? I was this little guy, 115 pounds. So I started working out with my dad and he gave me creatine, and then I started researching creatine, and that was back in the day even of, it was, NO2, arginine alpha ketoglutarate. And, I got super into it. I was like, wow, this supplement can increase vasodilation. It can give you a pump. And, I thought that was really cool because at the time I was trying everything and anything to kind of put on some size. And that was kind of how I first got introduced to supplements themselves. Fast forward some years from there, I started looking into being a firefighter and joined the military. And I mean, as you guys know, being a firefighter in the military, you got to be healthy, fit, be able to lift some weight, all that kind of stuff. So, I was working as a firefighter, got the job at the fire station, and I was like, all right, now it's time to get my degree. I was working for a bunch of other supplement companies doing customer service, research and development, really researching ingredients. And yeah, man, that's kind of how everything started. I was working for other companies. I'm kind of a big pain in the ass, excuse my language. So, I was like, you know what? There's a better way to do this. I was like, I want to take my integrity, my morals, my ethics that I have on the military and firefighter side of just this, this deep desire to really help people. And I want to take that and have it transition over to supplements, because, supplements sometimes, especially for, someone like myself, I have the experience of where supplements are the first thing that really draws someone in to wanting to work out, to hitting the gym, to beginning their training, right? So I feel like there's a lot of potential there in supplements to help people. And I wanted to take, like I said, that genuine desire to help people and transition that over to supplements. And that was 3 years ago. A couple of dudes at the fire station were like, yo, we love your products, because I was working for other companies, like I said. They tried products that I made for other companies, and I told them, I was like, you know what? I'm starting my own thing. I drew up a logo, started the LLC, all that kind of stuff, man. And then, they invested, I invested, and here we are 3 years later. So, yeah.
And you're off to the races and running. I guess what was how did you actually get your foot in the door into the supplement industry? Because a lot of people that maybe want to get into it don't know where to start by. I mean, they don't have degrees really for engineering supplements and formulating supplements, really. That's not really a degree you're going to find anywhere. So what was your pathway? What was your initial foot in the door and entryway into the industry?
Man, you know what? That's a really great question. And there's actually, I think, two parts of that question that are important. And I'll first hit on the first one, is how I got my my stepping stone into the industry, but then also based on, which degree path would fit for formulating supplements. Those are really, really two good questions. And I get those a lot, especially on Instagram, social media. People are always reaching out, how do I start a supplement company? How do I work with you guys? The way I got my start, and this is me, and just a little bit of background about me, I've literally went into positions where I probably wasn't going to get a job, but I let them know how bad I wanted it. I was like, you know what, I'll scrub toilets, I'll wash your walls, I'll do whatever I have to do to get my foot in the door. So I took that sort of mindset, and I did it with the supplement industry. I made some friends with that worked for different supplement companies. I can't say which supplement companies because I'm bound by non-disclosure agreements.
Right.
But I made friends with people in the industry, and I let them know. I was like, hey man, I'll do the grunt work. I'll start from the very, very bottom. I want to get in this industry. And I'm willing to put that time in. So I started out as a rep on Anabolic Minds. It's a bodybuilding forum, just like bodybuilding.com.
Right.
Yeah, I started repping and just doing customer service. And then I let the company know that I was with it at that time. Yo, I want to go above and beyond. I don't want to just rep. So then they started sending me stuff in the mail. I was giving it out to all my friends, kind of doing like, word of mouth type generation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So started just bottom of the totem pole, man, repping, customer service type stuff, just anything I could. And that happened because I reached out to specific companies that I wanted to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, so then you worked with the other companies, you started helping them formulate, doing research, a little bit of sales prep force to it from what it sounds like. What was the final catalyst that gave you the kick in the ass to start your own company? Was it a bad, without getting into specifics, was it a bad interaction with the company, or did you just realize I can do this better, or was there some catalyst that said, all right, I'm ready to do this on my own and I can do it better?
Right, for sure. So yeah, like I said, I started out doing the customer service stuff, repping companies. And then I told them, I was like, hey, I want more. I want to design your products. I want to help with, create labels, this and that. I was kind of getting stonewalled. So then being the ambitious person I am, I started reaching out to other companies. I ended up landing a spot where I was the general manager of a company, heading out research and development team, taking on a lot more responsibilities. We were actually doing in-house testing on a bunch of ingredients that people now are still utilizing and getting great results off of it. And we were one of the first ones to bring it to the industry. So I was really on the cusp of innovation and bringing out this new stuff and new delivery systems and all that kind of stuff that people are just raving over now. And yeah, man, when I started with these other companies, I was like, hey, I don't believe personally in proprietary blends. And I let them know, my formulas, I don't want them to ever be in proprietary blends. There's for no reason. In my opinion, like I said, I'm a pain in the ass. Like, there's no reason do we need to put anything in a proprietary blend.
I couldn't agree more, and that's something I've harped on countless times.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, they say, well, we're trying to hide this technology. No, you're not trying to hide the technology, because you know how this stuff works. We could easily go in a proprietary blend, find probably plus or minus within 10% of these actual doses. They're not hiding anything from us. We can decipher a proprietary blend super easy. So, you're not hiding anything from us. You're hiding the doses that are found in these products from the consumers because you're afraid that they're not going to think it's, effectively dosed. So they were using my formulas and proprietary blends. Some of the label, the branding, and the direction, super cheesy to me. And yeah, man, I just felt like I could do it better. I feel like I was more consumer driven, more kind of just wanting to put out something that's about the product, not so gimmicky, like I said, not really running on these gimmicks and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty much the kind of the bottom line. I was like, I'm putting so much work into this, working so hard, and then it's kind of doing a disservice to what the products are, what the formulas are. And I was like, I've had enough. It's time to go out on my own. And the support from the dudes at the fire station made it that much easier. There's a lot of support. A lot of people are like, "Ooh, why are you starting a company?" But that's another conversation for another time. But yeah,
okay, so
that's why I started ATP.
Excellent. Fast forward, you've got the brand started, you've got the LLC founded, you're sitting down to formulate your flagship product, which is Perform Kinetics, the pre-workout, which you just recently launched V2. In the extreme sour cherry flavor, which is awesome, by the way. I've tried it. I've used a tub and a half of it. The stuff is great. For all the people that will listen to this, you can put that to the test. It's a solid pre-workout. Where was your thought process in formulating the supplement? What things did you want to hit? And if, in a perfect world, does it include everything you wanted to, or did you find that there were some limitations with what you could put into it based on practicality and cost of goods and whatnot?
Yeah, so that very first version, I actually got in arguments with manufacturers like crazy, man. And this is kind of one of those things where a lot of brands that are coming out nowadays are relying heavily on the manufacturers to actually create their products. And unfortunately, a lot of these manufacturers don't know what the hell they're talking about. Now, let me say that there are a lot of really great manufacturers. But even for those great manufacturers to be putting out something great, the brand has to go and say, I want this, this, and this. And the brands generally are run by people that really don't know anything about supplements. So I got into a lot of arguments with manufacturers. They argued with me about the use of teocrine and what it would do, and they wanted me to do it this way or this way. But, ultimately it just came down to what I think a pre-workout should do. And, I've gone over this with other people on what I think a pre-workout should do, and that's be acute, right? It should be something that acts immediately, right then and there, because you're taking in a pre-workout setting. So it's something that should kick in 15, 45 minutes. So when you get to the gym, everything is acting on this one point, right? And that's for increasing your workout experience. Sorry, your workout experience. And you want to hit these specific facets. What do you want to do when you go to the gym? You want to get a pump. Okay, we got to hit pump. You want to be stimulated, so we got to hit you with some stimulants. You want to have that tunnel vision focus. And then also you're going to want to be able to, if you need to, train a little bit longer to be able to hit these, these targets of overreaching and progressive overload and all that kind of stuff. So our main point and focus, and I think that it actually really delivered very well. The flavor didn't get good feedback, and this all goes back to me being a pain in the ass, because I was more along the lines of, let's sacrifice a little bit of flavor and let's get as much teacrine in there as possible. And this is before teacrine had a bitter masker. So this is like, dude, and I don't know if you've ever tried just straight teacrine, but it is,
it is terrible.
I gave some to my wife and she gagged, dude. Like one of the original ones without the bitter mask. She's like, oh, it's so bad.
I still have about a half a tub of the OG Perform Kinetics lying around, and I'll use that every now and then when I want a little bit lower caffeine dose in there. But for the people listening, y'all were one of the first companies to actually put in the full 100 milligram dose of teacrine into a pre-workout. And the flavor wasn't top notch, but the effects were there. And since then, Compound Solution has come out with that 40% yield of teacrine and dynamine as well, which improves the taste. There's still a little bit of stuff, but I mean, everybody's dealing with that now. But it's from the V1 to the V2, the flavor increase is substantial.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, that was the big thing with Perform, and is kind of, like I said, we wanted to sacrifice a little bit of the flavor aspect of it, because the goal of a pre-workout, we're not going to sit around and have a pre-workout tasting, right? Like we're not spitting into buckets and like, oh, I have notes of cherry and old rubber and tar wood and like essence of pearl. So no, man, you're taking your pre-workout to go kick ass in the gym and throw some weight around. So throw it down and let's go to work. You know what I mean? So we did sacrifice that. But ultimately we kind of found a real nice middle ground with the version 2. But yeah. So that was our big thing with Perform and how we wanted it to affect people. We wanted the all-in-one experience. A lot of companies are doing buy the pump, buy the stimulant. And for me, I feel like it should be an all-in-one. So that's kind of the direction we went with that, for sure.
Perfect. Now I think one of the unique attributes of Perform is that it's got adaptogens in it, which you don't see a whole lot of in pre-workouts. So specifically, you've got rhodiola and ashwagandha in there, the KSM66 trademark brand of it. What, I guess, led you to put those in there, and why do you think those are a good inclusion in a pre-workout specifically?
Yeah, definitely. So I have always been a really big fan of adaptogens. We actually have a formula all ready to go for one of our products that's an adaptogenic product, just all on its own. I feel like the inclusion of those in there really hit the endurance component of working out quite a bit. There's quite a bit of really good data on rhodiola rosea. It's one of my favorite ingredients. And when we went back to the table and wanted to reformulate, before ours came out, before we started promoting it, I can't even tell you one product pre-workout wise that included ashwagandha or KSM. So we were really one of the first ones to start doing that. And we had rhodiola rosea, I believe, in the first version also.
Yes. That was in there. The KSM is a new addition to the V2.
Yeah, exactly. So we just wanted to really hit that, because then in the first version we had picomelon, and they took that away. That was kind of one of those ingredients that we had in there to kind of lower the stirring sort of anxiousness that you'll get with taking a higher amount of stimulants. So we put ashwagandha in there to kind of not just to kind of take that edge off, to where it's not a negative effect, because a lot of people don't like that overly stimulated feeling. But now that ashwagandha is going to play synergistically with rhodiola rosea and the stimulant matrix, to where you have the energy, but you're not getting sidetracked. You're not getting like that methy, like stir crazy, like cracked out feeling that a lot of people don't like. And that's why we included those just to keep it the nice, powerful, smooth, ready to go kick ass in the gym type feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, almost like a dialed in, a controlled type of aggression, not just a bounce off the walls, ready to run through a brick wall kind of feeling.
Exactly, and that's the thing too, man. Like, yourself, myself, they'll put in a shit ton of stimulants to get you cracked out and feeling wired. But then after an hour of your workout, you're going home, you're pretty much done for. I mean, I know you, me, like we have to go home and do homework, work on the company, take care of families, like still be a participating member to the world. Like it doesn't work for us to just get all cracked out, amped up, and then just be worthless for the rest of the day. So we wanted to rely heavily on some things that people really hadn't thought of, always trying to innovate, always trying to push those boundaries as a means of getting that powerful stimulation, but still going on throughout your day to where, you can go kick ass at school, at work, whatever it is that you personally do, you can still go and excel and thrive at those also.
Mm-hmm. Were there any specific challenges you faced in going from, you did the initial launch with V1 and obviously that sold out and you moved on to V2 where you removed Picamillon due to some FDA things, and because that's for some reason the FDA doesn't like synthetic forms of certain nutrients, and so they banned Picamillon from most supplements.
Right.
For those people that aren't familiar with why it may have been removed. And so what were, I guess, the challenges in formulating the second version of Perform Kinetics and then getting it made, and how's it been received so far?
So first of all, it's sold out. So it did really well. We sold out of that a couple weeks ago. And
congratulations. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah. We're working on getting 2 new flavors out and everything, and we're also addressing the clumping issue because with Hydromax and citrulline malate and Agmatine and even the KSM is a little bit more of a like it's got like a flowery
earthy
texture
kind
to
of
it.
texture, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really, we're having some issues with the clumping factor, which is normal. People like us, we're used to getting pre-workouts. And I mean, sometimes back in the day, I would get some that are straight bricked concrete. I'd have to like take a fork and chip away at them. They were and that happens with citrulline malate. But we're trying to get rid of that because people who aren't as used to taking pre-workouts, which a lot of our demographic, they're not really as reliant upon pre-workouts. They're not used to seeing the clumping. So they're like, I don't really like it. But as far as everything else goes, man, I tell you what, the formulation, the testing, all that stuff, Perform Kinetics went really easy. We were the first. Oh, there was a hiccup with Dynamine because we were, I think, the first company in America. I think the other company that released Dynamine was an Australian company. So we were one of the first ones in America to actually have Dynamine.
Correct. Yeah.
So we were kind of, and I was playing with Dynamine, probably for 6 months before we even released it in that formula. But there were little hiccups with manufacturing timelines and stuff like that. But as far as getting it out there, it was, real smooth process. We tested a few, and they just hit so well. They tested so well with our team and the people we had try the samples that it was pretty relatively easy. And then consumer feedback, we have a 100% money back guarantee and we haven't had to honor that one time. So, I mean, it's doing well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and a lot of what we get is, people are like, oh, I always get a stomach ache. They'll get a stomach ache at the gym from other, and like, dude, I've never gotten a stomach ache from yours. The feeling, it's so clean, it's so powerful. I just love it. That's really the feedback as we get, and that's what's cool for us. I think mostly is a lot of people are like, I can't take pre-workouts, but I can take yours. For us, that's a home run. And it's still the people that are like, they love the high stim stuff. They're like, I love yours. So we're still able to do the high stim people and the people that hate pre-workout. We're able to make a product for all of them, which is, in my book, dude, that's a huge win for us.
It's probably, I think that's awesome, first of all. And then I think part of it is that it's only 250 caffeine yield in each serving, but I think it's probably something that's along the lines of the synergism between the caffeine, the 2 forms of caffeine, plus the teacrine and dynamine. Now, we haven't seen much, if any, research done on dynamine, but from personal anecdote and Sandy's using it and yours just from when we've talked, over the years is that dynamine seems to be kicking people a lot harder and more acutely than teacrine.
Definitely, and that's you nailed it right on the head. The synergy, right? And that's what we try and focus on all around. We're not trying to just do a kitchen sink. Let's just throw all this in there. Each ingredient, we aim to have it be synergistic with the other. That's why we took teacrine and dynamine, and we kind of split those in half. Because now you'll get the front loaded, the more in your face kind of effect in the beginning, but then you'll still have that lasting stuff afterwards to either help you keep going or go home and still, like I said, be successful and do things with that throughout the rest of your normal daily life.
Yeah. All right. So let's move to the second product that y'all released, which I find to be an interesting choice for specifically sports nutrition supplement companies. Y'all released Aspire, which is a nootropic and a productivity formula. And we were seeing nootropics be kind of the cash cow for everybody in the industry now. Everybody's jumping out with some kind of gaming formula, productivity supplement, or nootropic-based formula. What led you to create that as the second product released from ATP?
Yeah, definitely. So the big thing for us is we not only do we make products for like the bodybuilding sector of sports nutrition, but we also do stuff for athletes. And a lot of athletes, they don't necessarily want the pump, or they're in a situation where the pump would be prohibitive to their performance, right? So if you're going out for a long run, you don't want to necessarily be getting a muscle pump. You're going to cramp up and all that kind of stuff. So we wanted to take Aspire and create it with multiple purposes. I get 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night sometimes, doing as much as we're doing, and a lot of the team also, students, running the company, just everything we do. So we wanted to be able to create a product kind of like Alpha Brain that is geared towards brain performance, right? So we want to have the brain performance, but then also have a product that can be used by athletes that still want the stimulation, that want something they can trust for the focus factor to get them up and going, but not necessarily be a debilitating sort of use purpose when it comes to their specific thing. Like they could take it before cardio, they could take it before going on a run. Not everybody that works out wants a pump. You know what I mean? So
right.
That was kind of our way of being able to hit the best of both worlds. And the big thing is for us is that while we do have this, the supplement company is sports nutrition largely, but we also support a lot of entrepreneurs. And what we're seeing within the fitness industry is that a lot of these fitness industry people are very entrepreneur minded. So we're able to provide an entrepreneur product, but still for fitness people. You know what I'm saying? Because they're starting their own gyms, they have their own private training company, they're starting their own supplement companies, their own apparel companies. So it specifically fits our demographic, even on the bodybuilding side, because all these guys are so entrepreneurial, spirit oriented. So yeah, and that's really why we created Aspire. We created it to kind of give people like us that are within this industry a product that we can use to not only, go hit the gym or whatever, but to also better our life circumstances by giving us fuel, energy and stuff when you need it to be able to perform. Like you go to a public speaking event, you have to go and present to investors, you have to go and, land a new client or send out emails and really be on top of your brain performance game. That's where Aspire comes in. So that's why we were really excited to get this out. And I tell you what, man, we've already sold out of this one once. We just got in a brand new shipment with 2 flavors. This product, it's probably, I would say, sells as well as the pre-workout for sure.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, see, that's surprising. Just because I would tend to think that there's no way nootropic products sell nearly as well as just from the sports nutrition industry side of it, because you're probably first and foremost known with athletes and people that want to work out and train.
Right.
But I find, nootropics are my baby. I love that as far as, that's what I really geek out to, is things that can enhance mental performance, longevity, brain health, delay cognitive decline and all of these things.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it's, that product is fantastic. And, I can't wait to try V2, especially the Tiger's Blood flavor whenever that gets. What was the second flavor? Did y'all stick with sour gummy candy for the other flavor as well, the original flavor?
Yep, we got the sour gummy candy, and since we took out the new Peptin, put in the Euphoria, it did change up the flavor a little bit, and I actually really like this flavor even more than the first one. But dude, it's like I kind of explained it to some of the guys at the fire station because Aspire was really born at the fire station because we were taking Monster Energy drinks, like drinking those because there are times where we're up all night, can't sleep, running calls, whatever. So we drink Monster Energy drinks in the morning. So like, you know what? We could do it better than Monster Energy drinks. And that's where Aspire came. And I was like, we got to get these flavors to where you wake up and you crave it. Kind of like with Monster. Like we'd wake up like, oh, dude, I want orange today, or I want purple or white. And dude, Tiger's Blood and Sour Gummy, like I'll legit wake up in the morning and instead of craving a cup of coffee, I'm like, dude, I gotta have some Aspire.
Get your Aspire.
Oh, dude, it's so good, man. These flavors are awesome. Our manufacturer really knocked these flavors out of the park for us. It's cool. Really cool.
Awesome. And then that'll bring us to the third product in the ATP lineup, which is Generation, I'll let you tell the listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Generation, hits our demographic specifically more along the lines of the sports nutrition side of things. A lot of bodybuilders, I feel like, aren't really as excited about creatine as I think they should be. I mean, creatine is one of the, so let me segue in. Creatine is in Generation. That's why I'm talking about it.
Yeah, it's 5 grams of creatine monohydrate for you guys listening out there.
Yeah. So, we wanted to put out a product that has all of your staple ingredients in it, right? Because like I spoke about with Perform, you're not going to find creatine and beta-alanine in the pre-workout because it's not going to do anything in the pre-workout setting. Beta-alanine has to saturate, I think it's like 180 grams before you're fully saturated. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the 2.5 grams in a pre-workout setting, you're not taking it every single day. Yeah, you'll get the paresthesia, the itching and the tingles, but you're never actually going to get the performance benefits that you'll get from, your muscles being saturated. So we wanted to put out a staple product to where people are going to be able to use beta-alanine. Like let's say they don't like it, then they can still get the pre-workout. And then if you do like it, you could use the beta-alanine in Generation. So it's kind of like a stacker. But it's got creatine, beta-alanine, TMG, tart cherry, and then an L-alano combination with L-glutamine. So then that way you actually get some of the recovery effects that you should with glutamine, but that unfortunately with glutamine in isolation you don't get because your stomach, your gastrointestinal system just rapidly absorbs it. So it never makes it to your muscles. But the point of Generation is that it's an overall muscle builder recovery product, kind of like a muscle multivitamin. There are no vitamins in it. That's just the way we position it because people understand that you have to take a multivitamin every day. Same thing with Generation. You take this every day for muscle increases, performance increases, and for recovery increases. So that's really what Generation is for, and that's who it's marketed to really is the people that are going to want to be using these products. Now we put them all in one, so instead of having to go out and buy it in bulk, you buy your creatine, your beta-alanine, your Pico-2, your this, your that. Now they're just all in one product for ease of use for you. And we find that a lot of times it's usually the athletes that really see the value in this because they're taking the stuff already. Mm-hmm. Even for the most small amount of performance increases to put them ahead of their competition, it's still worth it to them. And there's nothing banned in there, obviously, and it's all, to a large extent, these are all proven ingredients. They all have a very good amount of data. They're all evidence-backed, so it's Pico-2 kind of is the newer one, but as far as creatine goes, there's no debate at this point, unless you're a non-responder, that it works. And that's like 10% of the population. I think they did a study and showed it was 10%.
Right. And I wonder about that with the non-responders. Yeah, I was wondering with the non-responders of creatine. I wonder if they just tend to have a higher red meat intake and they're maybe already saturated with creatine, you think? Or is it just the fact that they just don't respond to it at all?
Yeah, so we actually were just talking about this, and I was talking about it with a registered sports dietitian. It looks like the reason that they are non-responders is because they just have a higher naturally occurring amount of creatine, endogenous creatine stores supply. So it's just that 10% of the population. Maybe it's something like, some people have lower levels of myostatin, right?
Right.
It could be something like that. They just have higher levels that are producing endogenous creatine at a higher rate than 90% of the population. It'd be cool. It'd be interesting to see if we could do a study to see the actual physique of these 10% of non-responders responders. Maybe the reason, well, anyways, we could go off on tangents about theoreticals and stuff like that, but it would be cool to see if these 10% non-responders automatically are carrying more muscle mass. That would be actually something kind of cool to check out. But yeah, it looks like the reason is because they just naturally have a higher amount of circulating endogenous creatine source.
Mm-hmm. Now, in line with you mentioned that studies, and your pre-workout Perform is actually one of the few that's actually undergoing testing right now, clinical testing, to verify whether it's actually, whether or not pre-workouts actually do anything. Because there's been countless times where I'll receive a message or get an email from somebody saying, do pre-workouts actually work? Or, somebody will just flippantly say pre-workouts are unnecessary, pre-workouts are useless. And my first response to that is, well, no shit, because supplements are supplemental. They're not, they're in the name, it means it's in addition to, it's not a requirement. But still, I think most pre-workouts suffer from either underdosing or ineffective ingredients. Those are the two main things why pre-workouts probably aren't effective for most people. Can you talk anything about the study that you have going with Perform Kinetics and what led you to start it?
Yeah, of course. So, like you said, there are some people out there that say pre-workouts are largely unnecessary, which, like you said, to a certain degree they are. Now there's a problem, right? And this is one of the things that one of the reasons I actually started ATP was to be able to fund stuff like this, right? Because there's not a lot of companies out there that are going to put their money where their mouth is. Because our clinical study that's being done at a university will end in November, right? So let's say November rolls around, it's like, it didn't perform how you wanted it to. Well, guess what? Then we have to reformulate. We have to try and do it a different way. And then we have to try and fund another study to really perfect it. And in my mind, the reason that we're doing this is, and the study will actually have, I think, about 40 subjects. I'm due to check back in with the lead researcher on it here pretty soon, but it's looking like we're going to have about 40 subjects. And what that means is we're actually going to be able to have enough sample data that's really going to give us a decent amount of insight on effect size and to be able to see what we're actually dealing with on if it does outperform. So we went one step ahead of really what we were originally planning on doing, and this is kind of like a pucker factor. I was working with the researcher, and we're like, let's do placebo versus pre-workout. I'm like, cool, man. And then he's like, hey, what about this? What if we do placebo, 250 milligrams of caffeine, and the pre-workout? I was like, what? You want to just put it up against against caffeine? I'm like, you know what? Money where your mouth is, man. We did this. We created ATP for the consumer, right? So if this doesn't turn out the way we want it to, which I can already say we have midpoint baseline data on it, and we are noting some changes. I'm not really going to get into what yet until we have it completely published in November. But this is one of those things where, like I said, we want to put our money where our mouth is. And if our pre-workout doesn't outperform 250 milligrams of caffeine, we got to go back to the drawing board and we got to figure out a new formula and then try out this new formula. So then that way we could be like, okay, now we know. Right? Now we have data showing this one is the one. The other one before, we had it was good. People loved it, but we still needed to perfect it. And I'm a perfectionist, so we gotta push the industry forward further. Now, one thing like you said is, there's not a lot of data. You're right. We have data on isolated ingredients. We have data or sometimes in combination. So like citrulline malate and glutathione. Right? Shows in combination, cool, those work. But we don't know about a 10 ingredient formula, an entire thing. So that's where we're trying to pioneer this aspect of the industry and hopefully really push it forward, is that we're putting the entire formula under scrutiny, not one ingredient, not two ingredients, but the entire thing to see if that synergy really does exist. Is there a perfect synergy between these ingredients? Now, that being said, as you know, we do everything clinically dosed. So it's really going to be cool to see is if it's like you mentioned, if it is the clinical dosing that matters, maybe the clinical dosing on, let's say, Tecrin or Dynamine, right? Let's say maybe those are a little bit off and you have to tweak one to get it to where you want it to be, to where it's more synergistic. these are all things that we don't know. So this is why ATP and myself, we really wanted to really push the envelope and test this entire formula. So then that way we could start really pushing towards this, and we can start looking at the supplement industry with some scrutiny and some skepticism, because there's a lot of bullshit out there. So that's where we're trying to, I won't keep repeating the same thing, but we're trying to do something big, man. Like, we're trying to, like I said, put our money where our mouth is, show our consumers that we care, and we care enough to the point that we're okay with failing. You know what I mean? We're okay with failing, because then the next time, maybe that next time is the one where it's like, okay, we got this perfect. Or maybe the next one's a failure, but then we'll try again. And we're going to keep trying until it's 100% perfect. Now, it may be 100% perfect this time. We won't know until November. But there are some interesting findings that we're seeing with like squat and all that kind of stuff. It's been cool. It's been fun to do, especially at our level, man. It's ATP Nutrition. We're not like GAT or 1MR or BMI or whatever. All these other
C4, any of these other prop blended mega sized companies. None of them are putting their money where their mouth is. And I love the fact that y'all are doing just a regular placebo and caffeine, because there's been 1 or 2 studies before testing other pre-workouts against a placebo, but it's not against pure caffeine. So you have no idea if it's just the caffeine that's responsible in these products for the performance enhancement, or is it all of the other ergogenics that are in there as well. And I think that was a very smart move by the researchers to include caffeine in there as well. So I can't wait for November to come and see the results for myself. I think that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be cool. And like I said, we'll be able to see, we weren't able to test, anything subjective, like increased focus, energy throughout the day. That would have been too hard and very subjective. And the surveys wouldn't have been very reliable, all that kind of stuff. But it is going to be interesting to see like power output and, increased endurance, reps, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah. It's been fun, man. It's been fun. Like I started out doing all this stuff, nerding out, you know what I mean, in the fire station. When I got into the industry, I'm like reading all these research articles, like, oh my God, oh, this is so much fun, this is so cool, and now we're going to actually have published research. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Little old ATP, publishing research and funding university studies. I mean, this is what we got into it for, man.
Leading the way for the next generation of supplement industry and cleaning it up.
We're trying.
I guess that leads me into my next point of biggest gripes with current formulation standards for companies, and just biggest gripes with the industry as a whole.
Oh, do you got like another 2 hours or?
Sure, man. I got plenty of time. I don't have to. Sandy doesn't get back from her retreat for another 2 hours, so yeah, I'm good to go.
Yeah, man. I have a couple of gripes with the industry. I would presume to say that some of the largest ones are lack of innovation, relying heavily on branding, which is more on the business side of things, and you should rely more heavily on branding. That's just business 101, right? But I mean, the big thing is that they're not doing anything different. It's just a generic manufacturer, normal, like we could email 10 manufacturers right now, hey, I want to start this company, yada, yada, yada. We're going to get like something that's very, very similar throughout all 10, right? They just have this generic thing. And all they're doing is they're taking an athlete, they're using that person to promote it, and they're putting a new label on the same exact product over and over and over. And that drives me crazy, because it's good for consumers, because I guess you like that branding, but a large aspect of what we do as ATP Nutrition is we try and operate with integrity and ethics based upon the fact that we already just assume that our consumers don't want to do the research. They don't want to do the research. So we're going to do the research for them, and we're not going to take advantage of them. And I feel like these other generic bullshit products that are coming out in companies are taking advantage of the consumers, because, they're paying top dollar for these products that are, costing $4 or $5 to manufacture, because they're just awful. They're not good. And then you have these people that are, I'm starting a supplement company. And it's just not even supplements, apparel. I'm starting an apparel company. I'm starting a meal prep company. I mean, like that's great, man. That's good. But what expertise do you have to be able to do that? You know what I mean? And that's why I got my degree, is because then that way I can be like, yo, I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist. Mm-hmm. the company, I didn't have to get that degree. I don't have to go to MBA school to learn how to run the business at like a top level executive, but that's how much I care about the company. That's how much passion I have for our positioning and that level of trust that we bring to our consumers. That level of trust is largely sacrificed when you have Joe Schmo starting a supplement company. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Excuse my language. I think that's the first F-bomb I've dropped this whole time, bro. And that's like,
that's
usually,
impressive.
I mean, you've talked to me before. You know, usually you'd be like, boop, 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 having to bleep out everything. But you know, it's just everyday people, and you know, these manufacturers are eating it up, right? So they love it. They don't care. They don't care about putting out a quality product. They're making money, dude. So you know, a large and see what it does is it feeds into this consumer mindset. Well, supplements aren't regulated because all these companies are putting out illegal products, gray area stuff that's not actually DSHEA compliant. So then they're like, oh, supplements aren't regulated. They don't trust supplements. They're bad for you. They'll kill you. And rightfully so. You know, there's meth analogs being amphetamine analogs being put in these products. So then, yeah, they're like, there's no FDA regulation. But there is. There's just so many of these companies popping up that there is no way for them to regulate everybody. So, I mean, and it's just, I feel like the industry itself is being exploited. And that's what I hate to see, because I want to see good companies coming out with morals and ethics and value driven that are doing something for the consumer. That's the type of industry that I hope to see. And you know, there's no self-regulation. It's just like, they'll just go and pick an athlete that's on like 2 grams of Tren, a gram of Test or whatever. And they're like, oh, put his face on it and then it's going to sell. And it does. And that's what drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's false advertising because there's no way that athlete used that company's products to get where they are. It's usually 10 plus years of training and then some added super special sports supplements, let's call them that, in addition to whatever their training was to get them to superhuman size. And it's a farce the way most supplement marketing is these days, the way they put social media stars on there, drugged up bodybuilders and all of this other stuff. And I think what consumers don't realize is that there is such a low barrier to entry to even start a company. I mean, any kid with a $10,000 trust fund can go and start up a company, pay for labels, go to a contract manufacturer and say, hey, buy me formulate me a pre-workout, and that's what you were getting into with you get all these rinse and repeat formulas that are recycled more or less. You've got, 3 grams of creatine in there, 6 grams of citrulline malate, and it's the same thing over and over again, and they just put it all in a prop blend. So you have no idea what the hell you're getting unless you're educated about the ingredients, and you can kind of, back out what the dosages may or may not be.
You nailed it, yeah. And then they're not performing any due diligence, right? They just automatically assume that this manufacturer is an FDA registered facility, and then it's all the same shit, man. Then like you have all these companies, promoting as seen on Forbes. Bullshit. You were not as seen on Forbes. You paid for an advertisement on Forbes. It's 2 completely different things. They weren't like, they didn't see your product and they were like, oh, I love this product. I have to type about it on Forbes. You paid $5,000 for them to advertise on Forbes. You weren't as seen on 9 News, NBC. Bro, you pay for these advertisement spotlights, but it's like stuff that consumers don't know. And to be honest with you, I didn't know until I got into the industry. So if I saw something like, oh, dude, this is like blowing up on Business Insider and I'm an entrepreneur, that's awesome. But you have to look in down in the fine print. It's like, paid advertisement or, opinion piece paid for by blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's so sketch, dude. There's so much shady stuff going on. And one of the things that inspired me to start this, bringing over the firefighter, military kind of ethics and morals, integrity, doing the right thing when no one knows what the hell you're doing because it's all put away in intellectual property business operations. It's still doing the right thing, bro. It's not trying to bamboozle people and be like, oh, we got this influencer loves this, bro. The influencer doesn't love it. You paid them $20,000 for the influencer to love that. They don't love your product. You gave them 20 grand. That's why they love it. That's why they're promoting it. But, man, like I said, I have a lot of gripes, but it's just it really all boils down to and comes back to the lack of ethics and integrity within the industry, dude. And you have these big influencers they put off this persona. They're like, oh, we're here. We want to help everybody. But then you meet these dudes in real life and they're fucking dicks, bro. Like, I'm
No, man,
serious, man.
I think this is great because consumers don't ever see this side of the industry. And that was one of my goals with starting up the Supplement Engineer, was that to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and give consumers, you know, an unadulterated look into what really goes on behind the scenes, because it's not all rainbows and sunshine. There's a lot of, you know, dishonesty and nastiness and just
yeah,
lack of ethics
nastiness.
that goes around with everything. And I think you've hit on several of those, which I'm very glad you did, because there's the paid advertisement stuff. I didn't even realize that either, because I've seen those same ads, and that was something I wasn't even aware of yet. So I'm sure most people listening to this won't either.
Yeah, dude. And you have like people that are like, oh, I was invited to this lecture. I'm going to go and put off my professional expertise. No, stop it. I got the same email from the same letter that said, if you pay me $2,000, you can guest present at my lecture. And dude, it's like, stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're paying for all this stuff. You're not being invited because you're this important person. It's because that's worked into your advertising budget. And, you know, a lot of these companies that we started out at the same time were doing this bullshit and getting high-rise apartments and buildings, like, oh, putting off this image. We're this and that, and we're blowing up, and social media. Those dudes are out of business, man. Mm-hmm. Because they couldn't afford to keep paying to rent this shit and rent cars. They're renting cars. I mean, and taking pictures by them was just so fake. And, you know, come right off the heels of bodybuilding, the Olympia, right? We went to the Olympia a couple times, and, you know, just walking around, and you have these influencers, these athletes that are like, their noses in the air, like, look, oh, I'm better than this person because I'm buff, and I'm better than this person. I look good. My butt's big. And I'm like, yo, when we set up booths, if there's one person at our table, our booth, that is not smiling and shaking hands and being, you know, inclusive and welcoming someone over, no matter how they look, no matter how in shape they are, they're fucking done. Like, we are not going to put off this image of superiority and like we're better because we have muscles, we're better because we lift weights. Get out of here with that bullshit, man. Like, I can't stand that nonsense, dude. And it's like, what else do you do? Like, you can go to the gym and lift a weight up and down, but what else do you do that you think that makes you so much better than all these people that are paying for the supplements of the company that is paying you to represent them? Like, stop it, man. Be a good person. Let's just, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, like I said,
have some morals, have some ethics, you know, live your life like you would want to be treated and have people treat you. And if you're a neophyte coming into an industry, do you want to be, you know, surrounded by a bunch of lies and falsehoods, or would you rather be open up, you know, be transparent, open and honest with you? And I hope the industry trends more that way in the coming years, because there's been a lot of fallout, and the FDA has been more or less cracking down on, it seems, because I'm not sure if you saw or not, but there's been another, Dr. Cohen over at Harvard released a new study showing about hygenamine in sports supplements, how the doses that, first of all, most of the products that contain hygenamine don't have it transparently labeled on there, meaning you have no idea what it is in there. And then second of all, the ones that did have it labeled, the doses aren't even anywhere close to be out. Some of them are off by 200%.
Dude, that's the same exact thing that got Picamillan taken off the market. Because not only is it used as an actual pharmaceutical in Russia, but it had, I think ours was very, very moderately dosed. It was dosed correctly. Clinically, it was dosed where it should be. Right. But other people were doing like 700 times the actual clinical dose, or what it should be in there. And that's the stuff that gets this stuff taken care of. It gets it removed. And you know why this stuff is happening? Because it's just Barry that used to work at, you know, the carpet store, got some money, and he's like, I'm going to start a supplement company because I like to work out. What are you going to put in it? Well, I heard this ingredient's cool, so I'm going to put 36,000 times the normal amount, and I'm going to put everything else in there too. Let's put a bunch of vasopressors in there, and then we're going to put some other, like, parasympathetic things. So then it's basically like taking heroin and coke. It's like, dude, you don't know what you're doing. Stop it. Like, this is the reason why the FDA is going to eventually take this shit away from us. You're throwing it on like vasopressor, like, and then all these other ones are like, oh, you know, warning label, may cause cardiac arrest, and dudes are like, yeah, I'm all about that.
Let me triple scoop this.
Yeah, I'm gonna take 4 scoops, dude. Heart attack, woo! Like, Instagram, I'm way hardcore.
For the guys out there, explain what a vasopressor is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a stimulant, right? It's anything that's going to cause. It's the same thing as like vasoconstriction, basically.
Perfect. Yeah, anything that's going to raise blood pressure, raise heart rate.
Yeah.
those things. So
it's gonna tax that system to where, and then the problem is you have these vasopressors, and then you're taking it in combination with something like a vasodilator. You're basically sending two different signals. So
it's the equivalent of alcohol and Red Bull. You know, mixing vodka and Red Bull together. You're sending your body mixed signals, and it freaks the fuck out, and it doesn't know what's going on.
Kind of, but like alcohol and vodka and Red Bull leads to like sometimes a fun night, whereas like you take Cialis and like a bunch of vasopressors, it's going to lead to death. So it's a little different, but yeah, I mean, basically kind of the same thing. You got it. Yeah. It's like,
sound like you've had a few nights of vodkas and Red Bulls by that response.
You got like, sympathetic and parasympathetic activation and dampening, and it's like throws everything off.
Yeah.
But,
wow,
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's transition to some, ingredient nerd time now, since we're both ingredient aficionados.
Sure.
In Perform, you've included Agmatine, which is a prominent arginase inhibitor. What was your decision to go with that instead of another arginase inhibitor, say like L-norvaline?
Yeah. So Agmatine is, I worked with a bunch of companies back in the day, and one of the companies I worked with just had Agmatine in isolation, powder. So I have been using Agmatine for so long, and anecdotally, I've noticed a lot of positive response. You know, I would take it with citrulline malate, and just the synergy between them really, really worked well. And I know there's a lot of people that say, you know, Agmatine shouldn't be used and stuff like that. And I sent you over the most recent study on this. Actually, we have cell culture showing that it doesn't inhibit which enzyme?
eNOS. Yeah, eNOS.
Yeah. It actually expresses eNOS in the cellular culture, so it causes vasodilation. It causes inhibition in, what is it, CNOS and iNOS.
iNOS, yeah.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want it to be expressed during workout during that time anyways. But overall, Agmatine, I think, is really the reason that we still use it is because it's just tried and true. Now we have this data really supporting what we have always purported and what we've always said. So we have a lot of anecdote from it, and then also just the support, and our pump complexes have always gotten really good feedback. So, you know, we're kind of on the mindset of if it's not broke, don't fix it. Although I will say with the newer flavors that are coming out with the new Perform Kinetics, we may be tweaking that the pump matrix itself. I think Agmatine will probably still be in there, but we're looking at doing maybe some stuff, trying to throw some nitrates, or we'll see what happens. But overall, I just think we use Agmatine because we like it, and it's proven at this point, and works well.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Plus, you also get it also acts as a neurotransmitter and neuromodulator in the body, helping to decrease pain threshold, so it'll increase your pain tolerance. And there's also, you know, some research showing some nutrient partitioning enhancement as well. So you're getting more than just like the pumps from it. Yeah. And I've seen many GDAs that actually include Agmatine, which I think is a novel inclusion. I like it in there. So
cool. For sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What would be one of your most overrated supplement ingredients that people that you see hyped a lot but doesn't actually deliver?
Yeah, beetroot extract for sure. Because here's the thing, like, with the current patents on nitrates, I have thrown hundreds of hours into ways to circumvent, using these patented nitrate ingredients, but still have nitrates in there. So I have called and emailed and talked to all of these different companies that, you know, we have a high nitrate content. Our extract produces with a higher nitrate content in this beetroot extract. But even those, you'd have to use like 20 grams of the beetroot extract to actually get a clinical dose of nitrates. So, and then now here's the thing. So we look at it in athletic populations, right? Beetroot juice, yes. Drink beetroot juice because that will give you an appreciable amount of nitrates.
Right.
But the extract form, supplemental form that we're going to put in a beetroot, in a pre-workout, it's not going to do anything, man. It's just all about the hype. They can say there's nitrates in it, but if they really wanted to, if they put the actual volume of nitrates in their 500 milligrams in some of these, you're looking at like 0.0001 milligram of actual nitrates. So Yeah.
Yeah,
So
most of those studies showing beetroot juice, they're drinking 500 milliliters, which is, about half a liter. It's going to be half a liter, 16.9 ounces is what that's going to be. So, I find that, and so you're, like you said, you're getting 500 milligrams to maybe 1 gram total. I don't even know if I've seen a gram full of beetroot extract in any pre-workout supplements or vasodilator supplements or whatever. And the nitrate content is just so low. It's all marketing hype there.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
It's minuscule at best.
Yeah.
And now, from what I've been seeing, you mentioned that the patent laws are now there's been some issues with people probably having to remove certain products due to beetroot inclusion in their products and it being marketed as a vasodilator or pump agent too. So
no way. He's going after him for beetroot.
I believe so. I've seen several products recently that have had some issues.
It's scary.
So, that'll be a story for another day, which when I don't feel like getting any lawsuit letters about that. So
I'm not even saying names.
We'll bring that individual.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Yeah, man, it's just one of those things, the marketing hype stuff. And then, arginine, people just won't let that die. They I think it's more of a pride thing at this point, it does work. It's like, all right, man. Okay, it works. I don't even argue with people anymore. I'm like, yep, no, it's and then branched chain amino acids. Like, oh, no, it does work. It works. I'm like, cool, man. Right on. I'm glad you dig it, dude. That's great. Good for you. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you're not going to change someone's mind when they get defensive about stuff. And at first I was like, look, all this data, like what you're saying is wrong. They're like, no, it's not. I'm like, prove me wrong. They can't produce data. And then, it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. No, I understand completely. I've got to deal with those same questions and emails and whatnot all the time. So I feel your pain on that.
And don't get me wrong, dude.
Go ahead.
There's some branched chain amino acids that taste delicious. One of my buddies at NutriShop just gave me this one. I think it's from Stance. It was like peach. Oh, dude, peach gummy. Oh, it tasted so good, so good. But the thing is I could get a $3 Mio for flavored water instead of like a $40 or $30 thing of branched chain amino acids that are essentially not going to really, do anything. Just and it's crazy too, because like the people that are like so diehard branched chain amino acids, all they would have to do is just get an essential amino acid and then it's But here's the thing: essential amino acids don't taste nearly as good as branched chain amino acids.
It's the methionine in there that makes it taste terrible.
They have that amino acid flavor, and it's bitter, and it just does not taste anything like you can get a branched chain amino acid. But I think we actually figured out a way around that. We found something that can increase it. I think we found a way to use an essential amino acid, still have it taste delicious, use a little bit lower of amount, and it's specifically about the ratios of the essential amino acids. But anyways, we'll get into that later.
So are you hinting at an upcoming EAA formula? Is that what I was gathering from that?
Yeah, so here's the cool thing. ATP Nutrition is its own company or whatever, but having been doing this for, this is kind of off topic from where we're going at, but it's interesting, it's fun. Having been doing this for 3 years, I'm starting to develop a reputation. People are, approaching me. We may work with a big apparel company. I'm formulating some of their stuff. Another company, some dudes out here want to work together. So we're going to spin up a few different brands. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have some ATP sister brands, which I have this composite book, the one you take to lab for like chemistry and all that kind of stuff, just full of formulas I've been sitting on that with this small means of ATP, we just aren't able to get them out. But now we're looking at being able to, we actually might even absorb a protein company. So we're going to be looking at getting out a natural line of proteins. We're going to partner with them. Yeah, we're going to partner up with them. They have a recovery drink. They have, dude, it's cool. So we're going to be looking at trying to pump out some new stuff, pretty quickly. We're going to do a natural line. Like it's cool, man.
Very exciting.
So yes, hopefully an essential amino acid is, and if not, we're not going to have an essential right away, but we may have a whey isolate paired with some sugars. And this can be more for our athletic populations, but you can, it's like a fruit punch flavor. Dude, it's going to be cool. There's a lot of fun things going on. Yeah.
As a personal request, try to make some tropical or some super sour flavors for me.
We're going to do
a sucker for those.
Yeah, we're going to do a tropical punch. And then we're going to look at, I know you love the sour gummy stuff. We're going to try and still keep doing sour stuff. It's just always, there's the people that they don't like sour.
Yeah, I'm the outlier. I'm the weirdo.
Yeah, no, dude, I love sour too, man. The more sour, the better, in my opinion.
People like their sickly sweet, icy blue razzes and whatnot. I've never developed a taste for that. That has got to be my least favorite flavor of any supplement in the history of mankind is blue raz, just because it's just something, I don't know, something so fake about it that I can't stand
yeah. It. I've never been a fan of any blue flavored anything. I don't know what it is, but you're right, dude. Like blue raspberry or there's like another blue lemonade one. We even sampled an essential amino acid that was blue. We're trying to get it to like Gatorade, but yeah, I don't. Maybe it's a color thing. I'm gonna have to do a Pepsi blindfold test on myself and like blindfold myself and see if I can tell which one the blue is, or if I'm just like fooling myself. Like, it's blue, it's gonna suck, but drink it gnarly. But yeah, dude.
Last question about the ingredients, and then we'll transition to some more supplement talk about formulation stuff that I wanted to bring up. What do you think is maybe one or two of the most underrated ingredients that people just don't really know enough about or don't think to use that they should? It could be performance-based, it could be cognitive-based, or just health-based.
Dude, so creatine, right? I mean, like, and here's the thing. People hear creatine like, water bloat, whatever. But the bloating actually, for most people, really isn't a thing. And I think it's because it's been perpetuated by the myth that creatine causes bloating. Yeah. Without that myth, it never would have started. No one would be like, creatine causes bloating and it makes me look bad. It would have never been a thing because realistically, it's intracellular. It's not subcutaneous water retention. It's intracellular. So it's not gonna make you look soft. That's not how it works. But the real reason I say creatine is not because we have it in a product, but even, dude, like I tell my dad to take creatine. Yeah, he lifts, but it's also so good for brain health. They're starting to use it. I was reading the study on creatine and like cardiomyopathy. Like it's good. They're looking to use it for heart patients. It's just the practical applications of creatine go so far outside of sports supplementation. It can realistically be looked on as like an overall health supplement. Mm-hmm. It's not bad for you. We have data going back to the 60s. It shows it's not bad for you. It's not bad for your kidneys like they were originally saying. Obviously, unless you have a kidney issue. So this is for healthy people, guys.
Right. Yeah. And it's even safe in children. There's studies showing it's effective in children too.
And I'm still on the fence for that, but you're absolutely right. There's data showing that adolescents can take it with no deleterious effects at all.
Right.
So, dude, I mean, the applications and really how far creatine has come with just so much evidence saying that, yes, it works. Everyone realistically should be taking creatine. Now, ladies might be like, they might step on the scale and be like, I gained weight. So that's going to be hard for them to overcome. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to make you look any different. Like it's not going to make you look like bloated or anything like that. Yeah. And just the benefits outweigh the subjective negatives just by so much. There's just so much good about creatine. We went to the International Society of Sports Nutrition conference, and last year there was a doctor who's actually did a presentation on creatine and just for brain health and everything, dude. They're starting to look at working it into actual medicine. Like, doctors and stuff, they're starting to use it. It's cool, man. I'm a big fan of creatine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, man. So, go ahead.
Another one. I'm not sure what else would be an underrated one. Obviously, adaptogens. I think people should look more into adaptogens just because of their use. Again, it's just very far-reaching, for sure. But yeah, I don't know about real underrated stuff. Like, yeah, definitely creatine for sure. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No, perfect. Going back to the artificial things with supplements that we're talking about, y'all don't use any artificial colors in any of your products, which I would like to see more people moving towards in the industry.
Hang on, we actually do. The only one we don't use artificial dyes in is Generation.
Correct, yeah.
And the problem with that is I don't think we're going to do that again because people overall have complained about the color of it. So while people say, yes, we don't want artificial dyes, when it comes to acting, like in theory, they're like, yeah, great. But then once they mix it and they're like, the Pico 2, you've seen Pico 2. It's like that, like a brown.
It looks like ground up dirt or something. I mean, it looks.
They mix it in water and then, it just goes back to like, your normal appetite, right? Like it's eating or consuming something is all part of the senses. It's like sight, smell, taste, right? So sight is throwing people off, and you're like, oh, I'm not really feeling this. So while people say they want no artificial colors, we've kind of run into a thing where they said that they didn't want it, but now that they have no artificial colors, they want it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we have artificial colors in all of the other ones.
Okay, that was my mistake. And I remember Generation didn't have any, and I assumed that the V2 of Perform Kinetics didn't have it in there.
Of course,
so that was my gaffe.
Yeah, no, and maybe, and see, here's the thing. So with what I was talking about with that protein line that we're looking at absorbing and partnering with, we are going to look at doing an ATP, possibly like pure performance line. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start doing no artificial colors, but it's going to be for the people that are willing to be like, okay, I understand that the color is going to be off. I understand that it's not going to taste as good as sour gummy would with an artificial flavor. Right. So we are going to ramp up and have that aspect of it to where we're doing the all natural type stuff. But I think for a large majority of the population, they're going to still stick with the artificial stuff because, it just does taste a little bit better, and sometimes it does look a little better. Now, essential amino acid, using no artificial color, totally easy. Mm-hmm. But in something like ashwagandha, dude, could you imagine trying to use no artificial color? Yeah. Them as like clay?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And the rhodiola extract we use is like dark red, like almost black because of the specific extract. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you got to have some pretty potent colors to work with on those.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, man. And wrapping things up, we'll close out and say, where can people find you? Where can people find the brand? What can they expect over the course of the next 6 months? And if this was your one opportunity to do a sales pitch to a consumer about why they should choose ATP and nobody else, what would it be?
Cool, man. Yeah, so just starting off, ATP Nutrition, we are based in Tempe, Arizona. We have a couple of retailers out here, but largely we do direct to consumer. And the reason we do direct to consumer is because we can control the information flow. If you go into a GNC, they're not going to do any of our products justice because they just don't know enough technical information about our product to explain it to you guys. So that's why we try and funnel you guys to our website or to one of our athletes because they will be able to explain the benefits, how it's going to help you, how it's going to affect your life, and how it's going to add value to your life. So atpnutrition.com is where you're going to want to go. And that, like I said, that will get you onto the website. You'll be able to get products from there. We have retailers out here. If you're in Arizona, we do work with a couple retailers. Like I said, though, the best way to do it is atpnutrition.com. We have 1-day shipping if you're in Arizona, 2-day shipping for, West Coast. If you're on the East Coast, it takes 3 days. So obviously, if you order Monday through Friday, if you order on a Saturday night, don't expect it to get to you in 3 days because we've had issues with that. But yeah, atpnutrition.com. Here's the big thing about ATP Nutrition. I'm not really going to sales pitch you guys because the most important thing that we care about is that you're an informed consumer. So whether you buy from us, whether you don't, at least go to atpnutrition.com, check out some of our content. The content's going to tell you why clinical dosing and transparency is such a big deal. So if you don't buy from us, not a problem. But what we hope for all consumers is that you will buy from another company that is doing things on a clinically dosed and transparent basis because you, the consumer, deserve that level of transparency and that level of knowledge. We want to educate you, which is why we offer, training programs. You'll see training programs on any other site or whatever, but ours are written by a certified exercise physiologist. They're written and they're like $2.99 or something like that. They're super cheap. And the reason is you can buy all these other ones from all these other influencers for like $70 or whatever, $30. We want you to be able to be successful. Okay. So if you buy our products or not, we don't care as long as you're successful. You can reach out to any of us for help anytime. But if you do want to use clinically dosed transparent products, check it out. If any of our products fit you, that's perfect. If not, please just give your business to a good, reputable business that's kind of out trying to really do the right thing.
Awesome, man. Well, that was fantastic. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a blast talking to you, and I really appreciate it. And we're gonna do this again. This was fun.
Yeah, definitely, man. And and it goes back to the same thing with you, right? You have your degree in engineering. It's cool. It's up to us that like are on this evidence kick, an evidence-based kick, to be able to do that. Like we have a biochemist on staff, cellular and molecular biologist. Like we're doing this based on evidence, based on having that education and the ability to apply that expertise, that education. We can apply it to the product. So, thank you for doing what you're doing. This is huge because it's going to educate people, and you're really good at what you're doing. And I hope nothing but success for this, dude. And I'm going to help you try and promote it because I think a lot of people can learn from you. Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate that, man. And same for you, same for ATP, and best of luck with everything.
Awesome, brother. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to doing our little podcast series, bro. It'll be fun.
Hell yeah, man. We'll get it going soon. That sounds awesome.
Sounds good, brother. All right, dude.
All right, bud. Have a good one.
You too.